Of course, you never really know when things are going to go wrong when you're out on the water.
I'd say there's a little bit of water in this thing.
Just like some of the instances we'll see in this week's episode of Boating News of the Week. Our first story to make the boating news this week is actually going to take us over to Houston, Texas, where this past week the U.S. Coast Guard honored a man who dove in and rescued a driver whose car plunged off the Lynchburg Ferry ramp this past New Year's Eve. The shocking incident was all captured on surveillance cameras and was just publicly released this past week. Here in these images, you can see the 60-year-old driver, for whatever reason, drove his car straight to the end of the ramp and right over and into the shipping channel. And here we'll see the vehicle slowly begins to take on water and starts to sink. Fortunately for this victim, a gentleman by the name of Robert Moore was going out to eat with his family and friends at a nearby local restaurant when they saw the car come flying by. And here in just a few moments in this video, you're going to see Robert Moore actually runs to the edge of the ramp. Here it appears he's trying to assess the situation. Basically, I'm assuming he's trying to find out if there's actually somebody in the car. And here you can see he's trying to communicate with the driver now that he's realized that somebody's in there. He's not quite sure what to do, so he takes a few moments to assess the situation a little better and try and determine the best course of action. Once he gets a little further into this and realizes that the 60-year-old driver of this vehicle actually is in trouble and can't exit the car, Robert decides there's only one thing for him to do. He quickly determines that he needs to dive into the water and attempt to rescue the driver from the vehicle. Now, of course, this rescue's not without its own set of challenges. Obviously, this ferry terminal is significantly higher than the waterline, so once Robert determines he's going to jump in, they really have no way to get back out of the water at this point. Fortunately, Robert's neighbors were there with him having dinner. They wound up taking several of their shirts, tying them together, and this is how Robert and the victim from the vehicle are actually able to climb themselves back from the water up to the top of the ferry ramp. Once local authorities arrived on the scene, they were able to evaluate the 60-year-old driver of the vehicle. It was determined the driver somehow miraculously only suffered minor injuries during this event, but this could have definitely been a lot worse had Robert and his crew not been there and seen the car go into the water. The crew from here continues to play it cool. They actually go to a local gas station, buy a couple dry shirts, and continue on to their New Year's Eve dinner. Our next story to make the boating news this week is going to take us over to California, where this past week the U.S. Coast Guard had to respond to a cargo ship that was disabled and adrift. The vessel's the 546-foot Wanhai 76, and the vessel experienced engine troubles Friday afternoon, approximately 12 miles off the coast of California. The vessel initially tried to deploy one of its anchors approximately 12 miles out. Unfortunately, they could not get the anchor to hook. They did have their secondary anchor and were able to get it to catch approximately 7 miles off the coast. 3 tugboats were actually dispatched to the scene, but they were unable to deploy lines to try and tow the ship because of the rough seas. Currently, there are no injuries reported to any of the 21 crew members on board the vessel. This vessel's carrying nearly 800 containers with various cargo. The Coast Guard's hoping to get the tugboats attached to this vessel as soon as the seas calm down and have it towed into port. Our next story to make the boating news this week is going to take us over to Puerto Rico, where this was the scene at the U.S. Coast Guard base in San Juan as crews unload roughly $20 million worth of narcotics that were recently seized by a U.S. Coast Guard patrol near the coast. The seizure occurred during a routine patrol by a Customs and Border Patrol aircraft which spotted a suspect vessel in the Caribbean Sea. The crew in the Coast Guard's cutter Donald Horsley, a 154-foot fast response patrol boat, soon intercepted the 35-foot suspect vessel. When Coast Guard crews boarded the vessel, they wound up apprehending the 2 men who were on board and seizing a total of 33 bales as seen being unloaded from the vessel here. Once again, this seizure was worth a total of close to $20 million. While this seems like a lot, this is still nothing compared to the $1 billion bust the Coast Guard pulled off the coast of Florida earlier this year. Thanks for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed this week's episode of Boating News of the Week. But before we let you go, I wanted to let you know of an opportunity we have going on right now. We are currently hiring. We are hiring for camera people and on-air personalities. We are specifically looking for people in the Florida area, Chicago, Atlanta, Los Angeles. If you live in any of these markets and are interested in a possible opportunity of doing something fun on YouTube, hit us up at wavyguru1@gmail.com and let us know, and we will get back to you. Once again, though, thanks for watching. If you ever see anything crazy happening on your waterways, be sure to hit me up on Facebook or Instagram and let me know, and you might see your stories over here. And if you haven't already, go ahead and drop an anchor on the subscribe button here.